As Bill said, I'm very excited to be here with you today to speak to you about what Amazon is doing in superpollutants. My name's Michelle Jolly, as Bill mentioned, and I'm a longtime Amazonian, so I know Amazon through and through. I've been with the company for over 15 years across some of our subsidiaries, retail businesses, and technology teams. But 4 years ago, I joined the sustainability organization as the first chief of staff to our CSO. There's no better deep end to jump into to understand sustainability in corporate America than what I spent 2 years shadowing Kara Hurst. And I learned a lot. I watched her over and over share what Amazon has figured out in our sustainability journey and share it with others. And I'll tell you more about how we're continuing to share those lessons later in this presentation. Today, I want to share with you 3 ways that Amazon is looking at superpollutants. First, I'll talk about the way that we manage, monitor, and are driving solutions within our own operations in regards to refrigerants. Second, I'll talk about how we are using an approach beyond our walls through partnerships with others to drive solutions outside our value chain. And then finally, I'll share the way that we're sharing both those things, what we figured out within Amazon and what we're investing in outside our value chain with others. As Bill mentioned, superpollutants are a category covering a number of gases. 2 that we're working on with Amazon are refrigerants and methane, and how we can make an immediate impact by investing in solutions to reduce those both within operations and outside of our value chain. Specifically within our operations, Amazon has a breadth of businesses. We operate data centers, fulfillment centers, movie studios, healthcare business, and we use refrigerants in a lot of those businesses. There's 4 ways that we approach our management of refrigerants that we think others can leverage as well. The first is operational excellence. The procurement decisions you make in equipment that uses refrigerants are impacts that last for many years. And so our central sustainability team works with our buildings teams about the standards we expect for the equipment that we procure and the impact it has on our emissions and footprint. And secondly, we monitor that equipment. We make sure that we have global dashboards covering the tens of thousands of buildings across Amazon to monitor the performance of that equipment over time because, as you know, you can't manage what you don't measure. Third, we work with our vendors. We work with the suppliers of this equipment to invent alongside them, to figure out what needs to change about the gases used in them, the materials, and how those should evolve over time. And we offer our operation as a place to pilot new technologies and solutions with these vendors. So it's really exciting to say, what's the right fit across our breadth of operations to test something that has a lower superpollutant footprint. And then finally, as you change this equipment, which is heavy and requires a very specialized field and technician crew, we're working with those industry groups to make sure that those technicians get the skills and training that they need to support this evolving set of procured equipment for our operations. And then there's outside of our operations, which I spend a lot of time on. Last month, we announced that Amazon joined a group of 6 other companies to collectively pledge $100 million to abate superpollutants by 2030. We were joined by companies such as Google, Salesforce, JP Morgan, Autodesk, Figma, and Workday to collectively make this pledge. It's a short-term, 4-year pledge to bring our funds together to invest in the solutions that need to be brought forward for the immediate impact that Bill talked about. One of the ones that we're spending a bunch of time on is refrigerant destruction. So CFCs are gases that were phased out in the 1987 Montreal Protocol, but that just meant that they couldn't go into new equipment. That means that there's still over 7 million tons of superpollutant refrigerants in use around the world. And when it's a superpollutant, it means that it's actually equivalent to 13 billion tons of CO2 equivalents. So that's a lot of emissions that's out there. It's in a lot of different uses. Can be old car air conditioners, convenience store refrigerants, canisters in landfills. And so we partner with organizations that find those canisters, safely transport them to specialized destruction facilities, and then measure what we've destroyed and make sure that no leakage occurs again. We take a really conservative approach to accounting for that CO2 equivalent in that process. We subtract transportation emissions and all those different pieces to make sure that we can correctly account for the credits that are generated from this work. And we make sure that we're only doing it in jurisdictions that don't have laws regulating the destruction of this, so that the funds we're putting into this is truly incremental reductions versus what would have happened otherwise. And then I'm really excited to announce that today we're announcing one of the largest rice credit deals that has been announced by any organization. We're investing in India. Methane is another super pollutant that's really important to have a plan to reduce. It is 27 times the warming potential of CO2. That's a lot. And rice produces a lot of methane, rice production. And so we're announcing a long-term agreement with an organization called the Good Rice Alliance that will have emission reductions across tens of thousands of hectares and thousands of farmers across India. The reduction comes through improved practices like alternate wetting and drying practices, which basically means that it's an alternative approach to irrigation that, in addition to the methane reductions, has about a 30% reduction in the water used, which is a huge co-benefit to the super pollutant abatement. And then it also improves the livelihoods of these farmers. Amazon's really invested in India and in our grocery business, and so we're really excited about the kind of and of this project that we're announcing today. It's one of the highest rated rice projects on the B0 platform, received an ex-ante A rating, and there's a lot more that's published on our sustainability exchange about this project that we are announcing today. And one of the most exciting things about my work is not just investing in these solutions and identifying them with our brilliant climate science team, but then sharing them with others. So my team manages a website called the Sustainability Exchange. It's a free and public website within Amazon where we are democratizing out what we figured out in this space and every other area of our sustainable operations. We cover carbon, waste, water, human rights, carbon neutralization, insects, biodiversity, a number of areas, and we publish the playbooks for our approach to each of those spaces. In some places, we publish the relevant methodologies and also case studies to help share those with others, so that these spaces that can be really ambiguous, complex, wonky, filled with science are demystified for companies who may not have as large a science organization as ours, but are interested in joining in this work. And part of that is through a carbon credit service exchange that we have within that website, where we are opening up our portfolio of these procured credits to companies within our value chain. So that means that other companies can come along in a buddy system, if you will, to come along with the due diligence that we've already completed on each of these projects and procure their credits alongside us. We're really excited about the potential to leverage Amazon's suppliers, customers, and Climate Pledge signatories to join together in this work. For those of you who may not know, Amazon co-founded a group called the Climate Pledge, and it's a group of over 600 companies who are also committed to net zero carbon before 2040. And we're also making this portfolio available to the over 600 companies who've joined us in that commitment, the third pillar of which is to use high quality credits towards your net zero goal, because sourcing those can be really challenging. And finally, I also want to say that while we're doing a bunch of investments around the world in solutions that are important in the super pollutant space, we're also investing in the United States. Our grocery business has partnered with Regrow and AgriCapture to support climate-friendly rice practices across Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Texas, right here, reducing emissions directly within our own value chain. So that's the actual rice production that is then sourced into our grocery business. This is the multiplier effect in action. Our approach is that we don't win if we're alone at the finish line. We want others investing alongside us. It's a lot of the themes I heard in the preceding panels about its basic supply and demand. If we can aggregate demand, it'll drive better terms and prices for everyone, and it'll drive the effects we want to for more joining us in an exponential growth for this work that needs to happen. The gap between ambitions and action is narrowing, and I'm super proud to be a part of that work. Part of the way that we think that'll happen is through sharing stories of the companies who are investing in these solutions alongside us. Because one of the most common questions we get is, what value would this have for my business? Why would my organization do this? And so we publish case studies from small services organizations, electronics organizations, real estate and construction companies, and how they're applying these solutions to their businesses, how the value it has, really frank comments from them on video about the way that they talk to their leadership around the value of this. And we're really excited to be sharing those with others so that they can be inspired to see how that would work for themselves. It's a portfolio approach, superpollutants now, reading into more technological carbon removal in the future, and getting everyone moving in the same direction. I invite you all to check out the many pages of resources we have available on the Exchange to learn more about these areas and about how it might be relevant to your own organizations or your work. But for now, I'd like to invite Bill back out so that we can have a brief discussion around some of the work we're doing together.